Hi, welcome to another Literacy Friday session. This video is a part of our summarizing and summary writing series. In our last lesson, we looked at avoiding wordiness, and this is part 2. In this video, we are going to look at how to summarize an entire paragraph while still identifying the main idea, highlighting the key points, and also avoiding wordiness and redundancy. So we're doing all of that in one as we examine paragraphs. So we're going to analyze the paragraph, identify the main ideas, the key facts, and avoid wordiness and redundancy by expressing only the main points. Remember, before we start summarizing, we must examine the text, read it in full. So let's read. A balanced diet is a diet that contains all the essential food groups that are necessary for our bodies to function well. There are 5 primary nutrients that are absolutely necessary, which our bodies require for proper functioning. The carbohydrates are the energy-giving foods that contain starch and sugar. Proteins are body-building foods. Fats are energy-giving. Vitamins and minerals are foods that make us resistant to diseases. All these food groups are vital for our good health. Now let's examine each sentence and identify its relevance to the paragraph. The first sentence says, a balanced diet is a diet that contains all the essential food groups that are necessary for our bodies to function well. That sentence is expressing a point. Now we don't know as yet if that's the main idea, because the first sentence does not necessarily express the main idea. So let's read on. The second sentence is also expressing a point. The third sentence is providing examples and explanations, and that sentence is directly linked to the second sentence. The fourth sentence is also expressing a point. It says all these food groups are vital for our good health. Does that sound familiar? I think it does. It may be a case of repetition. Now we have to examine the 3 points or the 3 statements of points to decide which is the main idea. Is it that the balanced diet contains all essential food groups that are necessary for our bodies to function? Or should we say, since the paragraph goes on to explain the 5 primary nutrients, that the sentence about primary nutrients is the most important point? However, if we realize that the 4th sentence also emphasizes that these food groups are necessary for good health, should we say that the emphasis is on food groups and not necessarily on the nutrients that are included in them? What do you think? So the writer mentioned food groups twice and nutrients 1. I would presume that maybe it is that the writer should have made a link between food groups and nutrients to say that these food groups are necessary for a balanced diet, and within these food groups are nutrients. So it could be that we just needed to insert a clause or a phrase to say that the food groups include the 5 primary nutrients. Does that sound right? So we must state in our summary that a balanced diet contains all essential food groups, and these food groups include 5 primary nutrients that our bodies need to function properly. We also need to be concise, and to be concise is to be brief, to shorten the thing and to make it as simple as possible by eliminating wordiness and redundancy. Therefore, rather than say a balanced diet is a diet, just remove is a diet and just say a balanced diet contains. So we'd say a balanced diet contains all the essential food groups that are necessary for our bodies. Then we look at essential and necessary. Are they saying the same thing? Essential means vital, absolutely important. Necessary also means absolutely important. So we don't need both the word essential and necessary. The next sentence says there are 5 primary nutrients that are absolutely necessary. When something is necessary, it's absolutely important. So we don't need to say absolutely necessary because necessary already includes that idea of absolute. So we remove the word absolutely and just say there are 5 primary nutrients that are necessary. Now we already identified that in our summary, we will have to actually state that there are 5 primary nutrients, but we see names of many things. If you counted it, it would seem like 7 things were mentioned. So we don't need to include anything other than the 5 primary nutrients. So now we have to pull apart this sentence that gives these examples and explanations to identify which are the 5 primary nutrients. Can you identify them? So carbohydrates include starch and sugar. Proteins are bodybuilding foods. So that's the second nutrient that's mentioned. Then we have fats, then we have vitamins, number 4, and minerals, number 5. Now, if you have prior knowledge of food groups, you would understand that some of the nutrients actually constitute a food group in and of itself. Example, carbohydrates and proteins. However, that's not the essence of the paragraph. The essence of the paragraph just wants us to understand that there is a link between food groups and nutrients that are contained within, and to identify those 5 essential nutrients. Now, we mentioned this earlier. The last sentence says all these food groups are vital for our good health. Now, in closely examining this last sentence, we will recognize that the phrase vital for our good health is synonymous, meaning similar to the phrase which says necessary for our bodies to function well. If you count the words in both phrases, you will recognize that the second one is shorter. The first had 7 words and the last one had 5 words. So, since we're summarizing, I would go for using the phrase vital for our good health. Then we would now put together our summary of this paragraph. A balanced diet contains all the essential food groups that are vital for our good health. These food groups include 5 primary nutrients our bodies require: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. How is that for condensing the paragraph? Now try the following on your own and check out the next lesson for the answers. Now this is a continuation of the same essay. So this is the second paragraph in the essay that the first paragraph was pulled from. Can you make this less wordy? Condense it, summarize, be concise.